One of the most awkward things you could run across in life is when everybody can see what the problem is with the situation, except for the person that is the problem in the situation. And the bottom line is, the Dallas Cowboys are a whack ass second rate organization in today's National Football League, have been for a period of time. I'm not talking about the fact that they got that huge ass stadium built. Whoop de doo. I'm not talking about how much money they make. Ultimately, when you look at it, yes, it's a business, but you are in the business also of winning football games, winning divisional titles, and most importantly of all, winning championships. Something the Dallas Cowboys have failed to do for almost 20 years now. And when you look at the problem, the only problem, and ladies and gentlemen, let's get this straight right now. Tony Romo is a very good but not elite quarterback. If you think Tony Romo is elite, then you are pretty stupid. Jason Garrett is a bit of a puppet as a coach and makes some very, very questionable decisions. But if you really think he's the problem, then you need to have your head examined. Ultimately, when you look at any good organization or bad organization, everything ultimately begins at the top. In any form of business, if you have great vision, direction, and leadership at the top, then it's amazing how that trickles down the pike to the rest of the company and how successful that company is. And on the flip side, if you've got a complete blubbering moron and an idiot and an out-of-touch buffoon at the top of your organization, it's amazing how much that organization suffers and kind of rots away from within. The biggest problem for the Dallas Cowboys, and has been for a number of years, is none other than owner slash general manager Jerry Jones. Somebody who always wanted to fashion himself as an Al Davis type. Somebody who always wanted to fashion himself as a rich guy that bought America's team and could win Super Bowls with them. Well, newsflash, Jerry Jones. Many things have changed in Dallas over the past 18 years. The one thing that has not changed is you running the show as the owner and general manager. But isn't it funny that since 1996, your teams have made the playoffs a grand total of 6 times? And since 1996, have won exactly 2, count them, 2 playoff games. During your time as general manager since the start of the 1997 season, the Dallas Cowboys are 133 and 133. That is mediocre ass break even. And that is the worst thing you could be in football, in NFL, and in sports in general. Not being bad enough and shitty enough to get a top 5 pick and being able to bottom out and completely rebuild. Not being actually good enough to really compete for a championship and by God maybe actually winning a championship at some point. You're middle of the road, so you're always saying, well, we're not that bad, so we can't totally bottom out. And we think we're this close to, by God, really contending for a championship when you're fucking not. And you haven't been for a long damn time. The bottom line is Jerry Jones always resented the fact that Jimmy Johnson got a lot of the credit, and still does to this day, for the Cowboys teams in the early 90s. And the reason, Jerry, that Jimmy Johnson got a lot of that credit was because you could see what happened when Jimmy was there. And we could see what's happened over the past 16 years since you anointed yourself general manager. You like to fashion yourself like an Al Davis. Well, you know what? Al Davis had a lot more football pedigree than your funky ass did. And even during the last 9 to 10 years of Al Davis's life, it seemed like he did everything he could to lose control and lose grip on reality and burn his organization to the damn ground. The Oakland Raiders still have not fully recovered from all the damage that senile-ass Al Davis did in the last several years of his life, running that football team into the ground, into complete oblivion, the freaking Raiders. Well, you've now become Jerry Jones, the modern equivalent of Al Davis, the living version at least. And your Cowboys have become, by and large, the NFC's version, of the Oakland Raiders. Maybe not as bad, but almost worse in a way, because you're mediocre. And you're sitting there talking about that you want to be the general manager for 10 or 15 years. You don't believe that you're the problem. You don't believe that you need a real football guy running your operation. You don't need a real general manager running your football operation. You can look in your own same damn division and see for how many years stupid-ass decision after stupid-ass decision that Daniel Snyder committed that helped bury the Washington Redskins for so many years. And yet you think for some damn reason, whether it's an incessant desire and need to prove yourself and try to establish that I can win the Super Bowl without Jimmy Johnson building my team for me. Well, you can't. Get over it. Look at fucking America's team now. America's team, my ass. Just another overrated, overhyped, overaged, overpaid ass team, period. That's the way it is. The Cowboys are a team that one week looked great, then next week looked terrible. There's never any consistency. And while I take that back, the only consistency is the mediocrity of this sorry-ass organization led by who? Ultimately, Jerry fucking Jones. To me, when I look at the Dallas Cowboys, you could talk about players, you could talk about coaching, you could talk about this, you could talk about that. There is only one person that deserves the axe in Dallas. There is only one person that should be ultimately held responsible for the mediocrity and sorry-ass performance of this organization for the past 18 years. And that is none other than the man at the top, Jerry Jones, who for some reason, and even some of the idiot Cowboy fans still defend this guy. For what? 1995 was a long fucking time ago. That's almost as pathetic as me talking about the 85 Bears. That was 28 years ago. That's a long time and a lot of shitty Bears football since then. Can't live in the past forever. At some point in time, you think you'd want to win another Super Bowl. It's great. The Cowboys have all these championships. And the last one was 18 years ago. The Arizona Cardinals have been to the Super Bowl more recently than the Dallas Cowboys. The Seattle Seahawks have been to the Super Bowl more recently than the Dallas Cowboys. The Chicago Bears have been to both a Super Bowl and an NFC Championship game more recently than the Dallas Cowboys. The last time the Cowboys were in the playoffs were in 2009, which was the last time, ironically enough, they won a damn playoff game. The last 3 years you missed the playoffs. The last 3 years you've been 21-21. And yet Jerry Jones thinks he deserves to be the general manager for another 10 to 15 years. If you take any other person and make them a GM of any other football team, and they have that track record even for 5 or 6 years, one playoff appearance in 6 years, a 500 or below record, they'd be run out of town. They'd be crucified, and they would deserve to be, because the bottom line is, in a results-driven business, you didn't produce results. I don't know what type of bubble Jerry Jones lives in where he actually thinks he can justify him still being the guy that makes all the football decisions. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. And if you're going to say, well, Jeff, you're not exactly working in the NFL. Well, you know what? Neither should Jerry Jones as a football executive. And why do I say that? Because he's got a clear and proven track record of not knowing what the fuck he's doing. He's got a clear and proven track record of assembling mediocre-ass Cowboy teams year after year after year after year, choosing to have puppet head coaches. After Bill Parcells, he said, oh no, you're going to have a Wade Phillips, you're going to have a Jason Garrett. And now he's talking about Jason Garrett's going to be his coach for 2014 and beyond? Really? Jerry Jones is by far the biggest problem that the Dallas Cowboys face. And until Jerry Jones does the right thing, tucks his ego in his back pocket, and says, you know what, I'm in over my head, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, I need to hire a real football man to make real football decisions, the Dallas Cowboys are going to continue to toil in mediocrity. 7-9, 8-8, 9-7 every year. Maybe once every 6 years they manage to win one playoff game. But ladies and gentlemen, they're not winning the Super Bowl anytime soon. And if you're a Cowboy fan that thinks that this team is going to the Super Bowl, winning a Super Bowl anytime soon, please pass the peace pipe. Period. Jerry Jones, you're the fucking problem. Get out of the way, and maybe your Cowboys can be relevant once again. I'm tired of the national media talking about this fucking team like there's something great. They're mediocre. I'm tired of the media defending your ass and making excuses for your ass. You suck as a general manager. 133 and 133 since the beginning of the 1997 season. 21-21 over the past 3+ years. 6 playoff appearances in 17 seasons, 16 seasons, whatever the fuck. Think about that. 2 playoff wins since 1996. You're pathetic. Get over yourself, Jerry, and find somebody that can actually do the job that you've failed to do for so many years now.